Good evening and welcome to Nightfall in Amsterdam. Tonight we're joining a portion of one of our werewolf packs as they decide the best way to handle a enemy guru prisoner, another werewolf that was taken in their scouting mission turned raid, I guess, for lack of a better term. They dealt with a number of hostiles, but were able to take this one in a state and brought him back. So they're currently at the Sept of Riddling Waters while they hammer out the details of how they want to go about this. Guru, especially a warrior, is unlikely to go willingly, as they say. So with that, I will turn it over.
All right. Well,
I think they're kind of doing some split groups.
Air is gonna kind of be chilling at one of the more a quieter spot on the sept where there aren't too many individuals hanging out, and over the pack link she's gonna be like, "Hey, Bosco, what you doing?"
Bosco looks up. He was reading a newspaper. On a tree stump sitting. Reading.
I'm over insert quiet area here. Think you might want to come over here and have a chat with me. Veronica and I need your assistance on something.
Alright. We'll get up. We'll go to insert point here.
Air's just kind of sitting, waiting, and she'll stand up from a stump we'll say she's sitting on when Bosco approaches.
So,
hello.
Hi.
Well,
what is happening?
You know the prisoner we took from the frozen forest? We plan on questioning him. And your assistance is needed, but there's going to be some things that you might not really care for. We're going to take him to see one of the vampires, as they have certain abilities that we don't. We need your help in making sure everything going down is, legit. Truths are told, etc. You know, your half-moon duties, as it were.
There's just kind of a slow blink from Bosco.
I know it sounds very strange, but this particular vampire is, I want to say, an ally to this place. He's been here before. He came here for the moot, and the elders were unfazed by his presence. If that eases things a little bit. Like I said, I know it seems very unorthodox, but
let's just
I think he'll be able to help us get things we might not be able to get.
And orthodox is certainly a word for it, yes. I'll come along with this, I suppose. Um, I'm not terribly
Okay.
happy with this plan, but I will come along and verify that we are getting the results we need.
I think you may find some other things interesting along the way, but I will let you make those determinations for yourself when we arrive. He won't be coming here. We will be going to him.
Fair enough. Do we have a form of transportation there?
We need to figure that one out. I can't imagine dragging a guy in chains through the city is a good thing.
Bosco is going to pull out his phone, and he's going to Google the local, like, the closest car dealership, and then, of course, call it.
All right.
Bosco will see Veronica carrying a large man that has a chain around his neck and a potato sack on his head, so he can't see where we're going.
So if the dealership calls, he's going to say, "Hello, my name is Bosco Christoph. I require a uh, a truck, one with enclosed hatch and lots of room, please. I will be paying for this in cash if you can have it ready and all the papers ready to go by the time I get."
You can hear the person at the other end of the line say, "Let me get all the information. I'll put it through to our manager, who should be able to process this."
Thank you.
And we'll take down the appropriate information. And the manager will get on the line briefly and say, "You you need a shuttle to pick you up to come get this? Would you like this dropped off? We can do delivery given the circumstances."
Delivery would be nice, and he will give them a spot to drop it off that is not at the set. Not like terribly close to the set, but close enough that Bosco can walk there, um, like in the time that he'll tell them to drop it off by.
Okay, so within reasonable distance. And he tells you that he'll meet you there shortly.
Thank you. Bosco will hang up, and he will look at Veronica and Ear and say, "If you'll excuse me, I will get our vehicle for this little excursion."
Veronica nods.
Awesome.
And then Bosco will go and pick it up. Give them the cash.
Air will kind of look at Veronica. Well, I'm not sure he was impressed, but he agreed to go.
That's what's important.
So he was at least willing to give it a go. And as you can see, he has acquired a vehicle too.
We all on the same page and can do what needs to be done. That's what's important.
Yeah.
How much bigger is the Shadow Lord
Just
captive?
kind of like looks at the Shadow Lord in the potato sack.
I
How
mean, he's an Hamid, so he's not. He's maybe 6 feet tall. He's not a real big guy. He's a looks to
Okay.
be more of a like the traditional Shadow Lord bloodline, some sort of Romanian or.
Okay.
When you forget you have mead in your other glass and you take a drink like it's a soda.
Oh boy.
Bear with me for a second.
No worries.
All right, so you guys are heading to Bosco's vehicle.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Get loaded up, and he's moderately
Get a
cooperative.
nice
I mean,
comfy seat in the trunk, I see.
the Shadow Lord is. He knows he can't shift at this point. He knows he's bound. He knows there's more of you, and he knows where he is. If he does get free, he's probably not likely getting bound back up. So he's fairly cooperative. You guys get to the vehicle. I'm assuming Bosco like pulls into one of like the service driveways so that it's not obvious.
Yeah.
Just right at the red light, flings open the door and loads on a shackled prisoner.
Oh, no one's gonna say shit because we have like a fuck ton of rage coming at this point.
Cop pulls up, looks at
Right.
you, and drives away.
Oh,
All right, so you get
I
in and
suppose. Air's gonna take up the passenger seat because she obviously has to give directions.
all right.
Lead the way.
You guys pull up to it's a park with like footpaths that lead into it, but once you guys get into it, she diverges off of the footpath and starts following like almost what looks like a game trail deeper in.
Air kind of takes a deep breath.
And as you guys get in, you would sense, well, it's subtle. You do sense that you have crossed a bond here.
Wait, there's a bond? It's gonna be Veronica's attitude.
And
Did she say that?
as you get further in, you can see basically a small, looks like a little encampment. There's a couple of small log huts, but mostly like leather and fur tents. Like this legitimately looks like you went back a number of years and are now in some medieval, almost Robin Hood type camp.
Wow.
There's a number of people milling around, not a lot, but probably a half dozen or so. Most noticeable being the gentleman pictured here. complete with the golden eyes and the white hair. Um, he's not wearing the armor or sword currently. In fact, he's only wearing like actual linen pants as he is tending a fire and looks to be cleaning game.
Oh, Veronica, Bosco, you ready for this?
Bosco just kind of makes that noise, that kind of like low, not quite a growl, but not quite a hum either. It's kind of somewhere in between, where it's like happy with this and going along with it, but I'm not happy with it.
All right. Well, she motions towards Gunner. That's the gentleman we're here to see.
And he will, he kind of raises his head and sniffs actually when you guys do get closer.
Air will give him a nod. um, but this is
He turns around.
part of my pack.
Turns around a little bit. Looks at him and he goes, "You're not my typical visitors."
No, we're not. However, my packmate does mention speak highly of you.
All good things, I assure you.
He sniffs again and out of character. I don't remember. Kim was at the moot, correct?
Yes, Veronica was, so she's seen him.
So he
Yep.
recognizes you, but then he turns to Bosco, who is significantly larger. And actually, believe it or not, Bosco, this guy's almost as big as you. He may not be as big, but he's close. And he'll look at you and he'll say, "You I don't recognize, however."
Likewise, Bosco Christoph.
He nods and says, "Gunnar Thorson, brother to Sigurd Thorson, first alpha of the Sept of Frozen Forest, and the Jarl and Prince of Amsterdam."
Bosco just kind of nods.
He says, "I'm assuming you guys have visited for a reason. And I'm guessing that one." And he points at the guy in chains and he says, "Wasn't on board with the idea."
I'm sure he wouldn't be on board with many ideas. He was somebody we took from the frozen forest in one of our most recent adventures.
He kind of growls a little bit at that and snarls, and then he actually says in Guru to the Shadow Lord, he says, "Do you like to see where I keep your ancestors?"
Out of game, I love this guy. Veronica slowly moves to the side to allow the vampire, if he chooses to remove the potato sack from his head.
He will. And doesn't seem terribly concerned with this guy. But he just looks and says, "It's an interesting chain you are wearing, my friend."
That's why he couldn't get away.
It keeps him compliant.
Here, he wouldn't be getting away anyway.
No. I suspect he knows a deal more than any of us do as to what's currently going on with the frozen forest. So, we think that, well, hopefully you can help. You seem to, your kind seem to know have different skills at getting information than we do, or so rumors say.
Well, that may be true, certainly. However, there are risks to me simply asking. We may have to establish some sort of process.
Veronica smirks and looks at Bosco.
What would this process involve?
Well, if I ask him questions and he tells me answers, we will assume he's telling me what I want to hear. However, if he is told simply to answer your questions and compelled to do so, and compelled to answer truthfully, then we have created a different dynamic, one in which we're more likely to, one, get honest answers, and two, we're likely to get your answers instead of mine.
Seems fair. Yeah.
And there may be perhaps a more appropriate place to ask these questions as well.
Bear raises an eyebrow.
He turns and starts heading deeper.
Is he heading where I think he's heading?
Probably. He does head past the altar, so that's not where he's heading. In fact, it's a large stone altar that you guys would pick up quite a bit of faint blood, or quite a bit of blood sense on. And he kind of, as he walks, he says, "If you bring him this way, we can, I think, better establish the details of this conversation."
All right.
Veronica forcefully pushes the guy.
Air will follow him.
Bosco will also follow.
He leads you guys through the forest a ways to what looks like basically a small hill, but then kind of nestled down to the base of the hill, it is a pit, and the pit kind of drops down into like a cave or a tunnel. And he stops at the edge. The pit itself is fairly steep slopes. It's relatively dark down in there, and you can see the tunnel or cave itself extends deeper yet.
Air will just kind of half smile because she kind of figured this was where he was going.
He looks and says, "This is the heart of this place." He kind of gestures down, and as he draws your attention to it, you can see quite a few bones scattered beneath.
I'd like to sense worm.
All right.
What would be my difficulty theoretically?
6.
Two successes.
Now, with 2 successes, you would know that, or you would sense that there is no worm here, believe it or not. Well, there are. Perhaps was one, because you kind of pick up some echoes from the pit. He turns and he says, "This is the heart of this place. The heart of the sept, if you will." He turns and looks. He says, "The place, other than myself, less than half a dozen people have seen in the last 5 centuries.
Can I use Garu lore to figure out what Septus is?
You can try."
What would be the difficulty?
It's definitely going to be a diff 10.
Hold on, I'm just loading up the dice roll thing. So what would be the other roll with Garulor? Intelligence or...
Yeah.
Yep, I got nothing. That one canceled it out.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
He turns and he looks at the Shadow Lord that you guys have in chains, and he says, "Here, the great spirit Knot, known also as the Night Mother, holds sway." He leans in close and he says, "And even after your ancestors lost it, when their camp fell, they used it as a proving grounds. And many of them fell." He kind of takes a sniff, but it's almost a sneer. And he says, "It's been a long time since a weak and inadequate Shadow Lord failed here, but I suspect I will witness it again." He points down to the cavern, and he says, "Known as the Sept of the Wandering Shades. Below, both the ancestors and those lost souls known as wraiths from the Shadow Lord tribe wander. Not does not allow them to wander far." He takes the Shadow Lord and he real close and he says, "Is your faith with you? Will your ancestors side with and support you? Or will they see you for the coward you are?"
Air kind of takes a deep breath and closes her eyes for a second. She's trying to focus to see if she can hear any of the ancestors via spirit speak, and she's just focusing this just to gauge what the spirit's reactions are to this.
Okay.
Veronica's watching the Shadow Lord's reaction to see how much fear he has.
He seems relatively in shock. He hasn't entirely picked up what this guy is either. For one, this guy does not smell of the worm. He's more shocked about the comments about the ancestors and stuff.
Bosco just kind of watches as all this is happening. Just waiting for things to happen.
Here you can notice it quite a bit more. Bosco would pick up quite a bit of Get pure breed from this guy. And he turns and says, "No, with the ancestors here among us, with all of you here to witness and question, I can compel him to answer once. I can compel him to answer your questions honestly. But for the remainder of the night, he can only tell you truth as he knows it, and that he cannot withhold truth. This seems the best solution so that you get the answers you seek without me serving as a middleman."
That seems to be the best way. She kind of looks at Veronica and Bosco to see what they have to say.
She does not notice any look in her alpha's disapproval.
Bosco just nods, kind of the lowest man on the totem pole here.
Yeah. Will then turn to the Shadow Lord. Leans down. And he says, "You will answer honestly, without hesitation, and without the withholding of any detail that may be directly pertinent to the question asked." He leans down closer yet, and he says, "And if you don't, you will feel as if your bones themselves are burning to ash." And then he stands up and he turns and says, "If his answers are not sufficient, by the time we are done, I may tear the memories directly from his mind. But that is a messy and possibly devastating solution."
Thank you. We'll start with this and hope it's enough to do the trick.
He nods and looks at the Shadow Lord. And he says, and rest assured, you don't escape here. You leave when they say you leave, or you don't leave. He chuckles. He says, in this pit, the other side is death. And I've been dead long enough to know my way around. And he turns to the rest of you and he says, should you wish for me to withdraw, I will respect your privacy on this operation. I recognize that some of the discussions may not be ones that are appropriate for me to overhear. And he turns and walks. And he says, is there a particular distance you would prefer me to travel?
You're breaking up a little bit.
He says, how far would you wish me to go?
Air obviously has no objection to him being here because she knows he knows stuff, but she's gonna glance at the other two and let them answer that question.
Through our pack link, Bosco is going to shoot a message to Air, and it's as he's looking at Gunner, he's just going to ask to the pack link, "Is you one of your kinfolk?"
Yes. She'll return over pack link.
How much does he know?
Alright, did you catch that?
I heard him ask if it was one of her kinfolk, and she said yes, and that was all I caught.
Okay, he asked how much he knew as well.
Well, he knows what's going on at the frozen forest. He knows, well, he knows quite a bit, considering all things considered. He's not exactly a spring chicken. I'd go as far as to say he may know more than a lot of us do. He was around when the frozen forest was originally taken by our kin, and he knows some of the elders at Riddling Waters as well. Not has obviously allowed him to stay here at her sept. I don't see it hurting anything if he stays.
She brings up Impact. Veronica talks Impact Link. And as much as people don't like the fate of those that are trapped here, it does retain the secret of our sept. And it makes sure that we don't have to worry about invasion.
I don't think we have to worry about invasion. Anyone daring to invade here, they'd have some balls, but I can guarantee they wouldn't be successful. I leave the decision as to whether he stays or how far he goes to you guys.
I would prefer him to be farther away.
Okay, Bosco.
Yeah. Gunner just nods and walks off. He says, "You'll find me at the altar when you are done."
Air will nod. Well, shall we do this?
Yes, we shall.
Well,
Let's go nods.
The Shadow Lord just kind of looks back and forth, and you guys can sense that the spirits are kind of watching the situation.
okay. And Air kind of looks to the Shadow Lord. What kind of preparations have those at the Frozen Forest began with as far as this war goes?
He kind of looks around, looks at the pit, and then he says, "It's like any other conflict. Forge Master is at work, arms and armor. I know some of the newer arrivals have brought other gear and even called some outside spirits to try and aid us."
What spirits?
He kind of raises his hand and he says, "I don't know all the details. That's not my side of things. I just know that some of them came from other regions and brought local spirits from those regions. There were Magnusons that came from further north. There were a couple of, when he kind of swallows and looks at Bosco and he says, there were a couple of silver fangs that came from the isles. I think there was even some of the Shadow Lords brought spirits from the Baltic region.
Were you aware of your selling kinfolk that could not be? And he'll take a second before spitting out the word used with as much hatred as he can. Were you aware they were selling them into slavery?
Yeah, he shakes his head and he said, "No, we were just told that it was important that the bloodlines be pure and respected, and that those who were not pure were sent away."
Did they tell you where they sent them away to?
He shakes his head and he says, "No, I didn't ask. It was mostly the elders. I know Magnuson had got some of the Silver Fangs on board with the talk of maintaining bloodlines, and I didn't. That wasn't part of my front. I was responsible for more of the combat side. I know they had some of the New Moons handling a lot of that."
How would some of you find kinfolk and track them, the ones that you claim were pure?
He says, "Well, that part I was a little more involved in. We had packs that ran the city. I mean, we had spirits that were being sent out to try to find those who were tied to the totem spirits." He says, "Well, that Fear just kind of explained it a little better to me. That the purity of a kin isn't just their blood; it has to do with their connection to the tribal totem and the ancestors. And so some spirits could try to track that, just as we can track them by scent. At least that's what he said."
The packmates can notice with Veronica, even though she has a really stoic look, they can hear a deep throat growl and notice like she is really mad.
Air kind of glances at Veronica.
How many Theurges were involved in this?
He looks and he says, "I know one of them was one of the Magnuson cousins, but the leader I was told it was one of the Shadow Lords from the Baltic, and I think there was one other present who helped, but they didn't exactly advertise what they're working on."
Veronica looks at Air and Bosco, allowing them to answer more questions if they want.
How many would you say that the Magnusons and the others of the Sept have been able to call to them for aid.
Well,
Call to for aid and have brought.
you took out a reasonable chunk, but Magnuson himself brought a number of cousins, uncles, that sort of thing. Although you did kill his uncle, who was significantly higher rank, or and he kind of gestures to Bosco and he says, your other big friend, not as big as you, but the big guy, he did. And one of his cousins, I know right now, he's got two other cousins, including an elder who is a distant cousin, uncle, something, who's there as a forge master. He fostered with the Shadow Lords for some time. In fact, some say he's even half Shadow Lord himself. So there's three other Magnusons besides Vidar, who is had been advanced. He's currently master of the challenge. They brought in quite a few Shadow Lords, although, in all fairness, once again, you guys killed like 3 of us. But there should be 2 more from the Baltic area. And there was 1 more Shadow Lord from Spain. And he had 2 Silver Fangs that he had called from England.
And what about you? What brought you here? Orders, willingness to assist in this?
He kind of looks up a little bit more defiant, and he says, when the call went out that two Get who had fostered with Shadow Lords under a Silver Fang Alpha were rebuilding a sept that had begun to collapse, and they were offering sept positions to those who aided them, an opportunity for honor and glory to those who helped carve out the weak and the pathetic. I came here because I was told there would be an opportunity for greatness for myself and meaning for Gaia. And I've watched a sept that has the potential to be great under the leadership of a Silver Fang who seems to have wisdom of ages. And yet it is undermined constantly by outsiders.
You mean the Magnusons?
He kind of spits at that and he says, no, I mean these other changers who were betrayed us in the past, gone to war against us. I mean a guru who would shack up with them, welcome them. Mutts. He kind of snorts and he says, our leadership knows that there are no place for weak and impure tribes. Guru who do not even know their ancestors or bloodlines. Guru who embrace the Weaver. There's no strength in that.
So what you're saying is, you yourself are weaker than these aforementioned tribes, given that a member of the Gleiswalkers, a tribe that, as you say, consorts with the Weaver, was able to stop you and bind you like a dog in a cage.
He looks and says, in typical fashion, trickery and cowardice was used when strength and skill could not face us. I saw both you and the other large one nearly killed. You won through deception and trickery, used tools, any kind of shrugs causing the chains to rattle, tools of deception.
Wouldn't they be the same tools that Caldra give you?
He looks and says, I don't know what tools were used by those who came before. I know the first ones to arrive were those who came because they had no place elsewhere. Outcasts heard the first call. And he kind of snorts a little bit and says, but Vidar isn't stupid. He recognized the need for fodder.
Who's this Vidar?
He kind of looks a little bit surprised at that. He says, Vidar is the Magnuson who has begun to rebuild the Get, to reclaim their honor and integrity. He's the only one. He brought the Magnuson clan, empowered them, moved pieces in the background. His time with the Shadow Lord shows in his skills. He looks and says, not 6 months ago he was but a foster and guardian. Already he has ascended to the rank of Master of the Challenge in an Adran. How long before his accomplishments outstrip all of yours?
There is more
Uh,
than pure strength in a battle. There are tactics, there is intelligence. You, your pack, You fought decently, but you were outsmarted by two packs who could not speak to each other without also speaking to you. For all this talk you have of strength and pure breeding and how important it is, you do not seem to live up to it. Do you think your ancestors smile upon you? Do you think you'll have a nice home or a nice place to stay in your ancestral homelands?
He looks and he says, I respect that I acted with integrity, that I did what Shadow Lords always do, the things no one else is willing to, strengthen the nation.
By selling our kinfolk into slavery. No, very strong. At least a very strong nation.
He looks and says, I told you I did not know anything about it.
I
My
thought
job
it would
was
be
to find the...
Shadowlord's job to know, to find these things out before anybody else does. Veronica's managed it, why haven't you?
He stops and looks and says, I was given responsibilities and I fulfilled those.
No, you have simply allowed yourself to have the wool pulled over your eyes. You have taken their bait, hook, line, and sinker. And now you must pay the punishment for it.
He looks and says, I suppose now I should beg for mercy, ask for forgiveness.
How many war packs do you believe would avenge your death? If you didn't get forgiveness or mercy.
And he looks and says, I've never claimed to be of high rank or high importance. I don't know that they'd bother with me specifically in general. But the fact that you came and murdered Guru on their own sept, that you crossed the borders into Vidar's territory, into a Get sept, when he is the ranking Get. It doesn't matter what you do to me. He'll come for you.
I'm sure he will.
Pack link. Any other questions we can think of to ask this guy? He just seems like he's just a grunt.
I have no more questions, unless you wish for me to make fun of him some more.
She says over the pack link. I wonder how beneficial it would be for him to know that those of your tribe there are all just fodder to Magnuson like everybody else.
That's a good point. Veronica just smirks evilly and shows the assassin, shows the dagger. Do you recognize this blade? Looks at the Shadow Lord.
Other character, which dagger?
The assassin dagger.
Oh, from... He kind of smirks and says, yeah, I know it.
Do you know the previous owner of this blade?
He smirks and says, yeah, Because that's all she could talk about, how important she was, that she'd been graced with such a potent weapon. How she clearly was so relevant.
Do you know some of the last words she told us before she died?
He looks and shakes his head and he says, "No, but I do know that I'm the only one here who has to tell the truth."
I'll let one of those two mention it.
Well,
I completely missed what we were talking about. I'm sorry.
I don't think Bosco was there for that.
Okay, but Air was.
You're all as much fodder to the Magnusons as everybody else is, other than Magnusons. They don't care about you. They just want lapdogs to fight their war for them.
He says, "Yes, Vidar warned us about the lies she would tell."
Of course he did.
What moon were you born under?
He turns and looks at you and he says, "The gibbous." That's why it was in the second run of the pack. Our gibbous moons were the outrunners, capable of handling ourselves in fights, but also better at remembering details.
And nothing about his story just sounded too convenient for you?
He looks at you and says, "His family told us about the betrayals of the clan Sigurdsson, about the generations of Magnusons who were not able to rise because the Get weren't trusted in their own sept." And he looks and he says, "And yet here we are, standing in a sept, ruled over by an old, old member of her clan." You ask if his story sounded too convenient, but here we have a Magnuson who tells us many tales.
Many tales. I'd be intrigued to hear some of these tales.
He gestures and says, "Tales of trusting leeches, desecrating cairns, claiming worm septs, Yeah, just kind of looks around and
Not many
says,
details to these tales.
I don't remember. Or rather, I should say, I don't know what you're hoping to accomplish here. But rest assured, Vidar doesn't need to keep secret what his intentions are. He's coming for the traitors. And then he will burn the leeches. Those who stand with him will be successful, will be honored.
Pack link to Bosco. If you want to push his buttons, mention the he would disappoint the Margrave.
What do you think the Margrave would have to say about this whole situation?
He looks and he says, I know that the first of us here were sent by the Margrave. I know that the Margrave supports the Fang's leadership, and a Silver Fang leads our sept. As for my individual situation, the Margrave does not discourage us from seeking personal advancement or opportunity, provided we use that for good of the tribe and the nation.
Then calling war against another sept and selling kinfolk into slavery and killing freshly changed Guru, it is all for the good of the Guru as a whole.
Sorry, Tiger, I cut out for a minute there.
Okay. Bosco said then selling kinfolk into slavery and declaring war on another sept and killing freshly changed Guru. That is all for the good of the Guru nation.
He looks and says, I do not know about selling kinfolk. I told you that already. I do know that war was declared after it was declared on us. As for freshly changed kinfolk, I know that the first problem we had to stamp out was our own wayward parties. He snorts and looks at the dagger, curls his lip in a sneer, and says, before you killed her for that dagger, did she tell you what the punishment she received was for killing a purebred guru?
I'd like to hear what you were told.
He chuckles and says, of course. It's no secret. This is the first betrayal of the foundations of Vidar's movement. They killed a pure. That could not be tolerated. And thus, she was given violent retribution. A mark and a penalty that she would be reminded of with every breath, every step.
So, what would happen to her if, let's say, she killed someone that had no pure breed? Like, let's say, a Bodnar that was newly changed, or some other tribe. Someone else had a potential to join another tribe.
Those who are not pure, they are the frontline soldiers. They do not have the potential to rise or develop beyond that, and they have. Therefore, their loss is less critical.
Isn't there something in the litany about she kind of is being sarcastic at this point, that all are of Gaia, to respect those beneath you?
Respect all those beneath you. We
That's
are all
right,
of
right,
Gaia.
Bosco?
So, we are all of Gaia.
He says, that's true. And every warrior of Gaia runs their chance of dying in battle, do they not?
In battle, yes. We do not just run around killing other Guru just to kill them. We make no assumptions of, oh, this Guru is new to the city, we don't recognize them. I guess they need to die because we don't know where they belong. There's no way for you to tell that. You just make assumptions that they're against you, and the truth is you don't know. Murdering Gaia's warriors. Aren't they all needed for the bigger battle?
He looks at you and he says, isn't the strengthening of our nation part of that battle? Do we not lose cubs in their changes? In their rites of passage? Perhaps we should just hand wave them all in and grant them rank simply because they'll be useful for in the future.
We do lose them in rites of passages and first changes. But that's not outright murder, now is it?
And as I told you, the one responsible was punished for that murder.
If you guys are so pure and righteous, why the isolation from everybody?
He looks and says, any who are pure are welcome on the sept. We have opened our sept to many newcomers. We have called newcomers from other areas. Many of them do not even make it to us.
Why wouldn't they make it to you if you've called them?
He looks and says, I'm sure Vidar would love to know. We get word they left their sept, but they never arrive here.
You broke up at that last part. All I've heard was they get word that they left their sept.
But they never arrive here.
Strange, isn't it?
He looks and says, seem to know an awful lot about it.
I don't. I'm curious about it.
I am too. Where do our allies go that they do not make it here when they get to the city? Why are newcomers who arrive without knowing the situation not given a choice?
Back links to both of them. This might have to do with the tattoos we were warned about with some of the kinfolk. Maybe there's a connection. Rat did believe there was a third party involved.
For the pack link, perhaps. Out of there hasn't been an influx of people at our sept, right?
No.
You've had more, but still not a lot.
Not.
You said the alpha of your set was a silver fang. No.
Yes.
Does he not speak to this tribal totem?
He has.
Is that what he has told you?
That is what we've been
It's so
told, yes.
continuous with this path.
That is interesting.
I am not of his pack nor his tribe, so I do not know what his totem tells him.
Well, allow me to tell you something. When I came here, I did not come here with some random habit. I was sent here by Eagle. So I get there, I start investigating, I start seeing what is happening, and I come to the conclusion that your sept is up to some very shady things. Things that are quite odious and disgusting, and go against everything we stand for. So we go on our scouting mission, where we found you. We killed the rest of your pack. We meet another individual, another Silverfang, who tells us that he was in your sept. He did belong to it. However, Falcon has told him to leave. This is not the sept for him. Find somewhere else.
I've heard such stories, but as I say, it is not my totem. But it seems strange to me that the elders would be told the importance of their heritage, their ancestry, and to strengthen their families and clans. And yet the young would be told to leave.
Well, the individual I speak of, also Silverfang as I mentioned. Just from the smell of him, I could tell he was about as purebred as I am. And I'm sure you can smell it off with me as well.
He just kind of nods a little bit.
I do a perception empathy on this dude just to get a basic feel for. He might be speaking to us, but it doesn't mean he has to show us how he feels on the matter.
Right. Yeah, especially with the whole compulsion thing.
Huh?
Especially with the whole compulsion thing.
Well, right. He wasn't told not to feel, just to speak the truth. Yeah, I just want to get a feel on how he feels about what we're saying and this conversation and things.
Alright. Apparently I closed my rolls room by
At 4 successes.
He definitely seems a little bit puzzled because he's got, he's seeing what you're telling him and what he's been told don't seem to quite line up. But at the same time, he seems skeptical of you guys.
Okay.
Ultimately, at this point, we have a few options. None of them involve you going back to your set. You've heard too much, you know us too much, and we cannot risk that. You can either be put to death or you can work to undo these crimes, bring them to light, and have justice meted out.
Yeah, says, oh yes, the old join or die speech.
It is what it is, and it is unfortunate. You fought well. It would be a shame to lose another warrior. But there were much bigger things at stake here.
I suppose if I say yes, what, you keep me on a chain?
If that is what must be done. Ultimately, that would be up to you, I would assume. Although I cannot make decisions at all. I am not the alpha nor the beta of my pack, and I hold no position within the set of the insert art set here that I can't remember at this point.
Riddling waters.
Riddling Waters, thank you.
He says, well, I can't make you a hard offer a turn down, doesn't it? I mean, I guess you kind of have me in a awkward position here. But I do have to say, whether regardless of what opportunities exist or did exist in that sept, I won't accomplish anything nor advance myself at all if I'm dead.
Roscoe will look at Veronica and Air, staying a little higher.
I want to make a subterfuge roll
Okay.
to see if he actually has a motive to like follow us, or if he's just saying this to make sure he doesn't die.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good motive.
Yeah. So would it be perception and subterfuge?
I could see that.
I'm going to spend a willpower. What would be the difficulty for this? He has to tell the truth. Or he's compelled to, so I don't...
Yeah, he's definitely is compelled to tell the truth. So a diff 6.
over the pack link. He's definitely unsure of us and what we've said because obviously he's been told a different story from the other end.
And this would make a difference at the moot when we have one.
And he also feels, I mean, like he said, he's the one compelled to tell the truth. I wonder if he may feel differently if one of us were compelled to do the same.
And John, I got 2 successes. Or I got 1 success. Is it 1 or 2? Okay, it's 2. It's weird how it was.
2 successes, you would know that he's seems to be concerned at this point. I mean, he's made his motives clear. He wants to advance his own position, and at this point, he sees you guys as the only possibility for that.
Advantage we have so far. Veronica mentions a pack link. Advantage we have so far, if he's alive, we get inside information. And he would understand some of the propaganda if we encounter more like him. However, the only problem is, so far he's out. He's got the mentality of look out for number 1. Also, I'm not the SEP leader. So even if we choose to let him live, they may not want him to.
That's true.
There is Petra's that might be able to help with this. And there's that Silver Fang from House Austria Howl. Does the sept of riddling water, even though it prevents people from getting lost, would it prevent people from running away and hurting somebody, you think? Out of game, I think it's if we need to be cautious, but it would benefit us if he was live.
Like Air had said in the pack link, it might be beneficial for him to, because he's skeptical of us telling the truth because of the stories he's been told. In the same situation as he is, to be forced to tell the truth, it can't really be denied in his eyes because he is leery of that.
But we did have Bosco interrogate him. So
Yes.
we had a Philodox verify. And also the other reason I didn't want to decept, people would want to kill him on sight. And we probably wouldn't get him to talk. Because unfortunately, when we talked about what happened with Rat, you did mention Ulrich's son attacked on sight when hearing a Magasin. I'm not condemning your cousin's behavior, but certain things like that, though His bravado is a double-edged sword, because while it brings glory and protects our sept, it doesn't yield results and grants them more reasons to fabricate propaganda against us. And because there's no one to verify what happens, the people that are safe at that sept could just take the stories and tell them whatever they want. Whatever they want to hear that would get them to other side. My bigger question becomes, how does your supernatural relative react?
Well, he's far away at the moment, so out of character, we don't know how he reacts to this. But Gatkin, how do you think he reacts? The same way myself or my cousin would react? I I certainly don't hesitate when it needs to happen. And given the opportunity to destroy a Magnuson, well, it's really one neither of us can pass up.
Which is understandable. But because they're known liars, anything we do to them, they're going to twist and distort. So as long as a Magnuson lives, we're going to be getting more lies. If he lives, he could see a pattern. If they don't know he lives,
Well, let's see, the Magnusons are the problem, aren't they?
out of game, I'm almost tempted to see if we can give them a different deed name so they think that the person's dead. Bosco, your thoughts on this? Oh. Out of game, I did not see the be right back. John, what is the rule for like deed names? Does it have to be only when someone gains rank?
No, they can. They can earn their deed names in a lot of different places.
So theoretically, I could give him a deed name based on him learning more of the truth.
I don't know if you necessarily could, but it's possible he could earn one. You could perhaps reach out to the spirits and see if they felt he warranted it. Deed names are generally granted by elders and or spirits in some combination.
Okay. I just ask because out of game, that's always different in each game, so.
Give me a hot second. I have to get something to drink. I'm dying.
No worries.
And back. I miss anything?
We were discussing about the predicament with the Shadow Lord out of game, because he shows he genuinely didn't know stuff. It's more beneficial to let him live. However, there are risks of letting him at our sept, as well as we do not know Air's relative enough to know if he would grant him the means to leave. Even though I did have a potato sack over his head. So Veronica wanted Bosco's opinion, because right now it's just there's propaganda going on, and they're changing it based on what's going on. They're altering it and learning exactly per pack or per individuals what to say to them.
Through the pack link box, I will say we
Alright,
should
sorry.
bring him to the elders on the sept. Let them decide.
You did well, Bosco.
There's just kind of a grunt of affirmation through the pack link.
Veronica looks at Air, because she would be the best one to speak to. Another Ziggerston.
To speak to.
Oh, out of game, your relative.
Okay, what am I supposed to say? I missed that whole conversation you and Bosco had.
Bosco agreed that he should be, even though we do need to be cautious, it would be more beneficial to let him live.
We talked to the Alpha of the Sept. I'm so confused.
So Bosco wants to take him before the elders and ultimately let them decide to be
Yeah.
Okay.
He doesn't want to just off him right here and now.
Yeah.
No, that's legit.
Yeah, they might know ways to verify like how he's feeling, or I don't know. The alphas are stronger than us, and they've been in the game a lot longer than us, so Bosco wants their opinion because wisdom.
Right. Right. That's fair. That makes sense. I mean, we are gonna get all we're gonna get from him, I think.
Did you guys reach your exact decision?
All right. If we're gonna take him back and put him before the elders,
Yeah.
we should do it.
Alright, so you guys are gonna just head out with him?
Yeah.
Air will make sure that Gunner knows that we are leaving his territory here. And she will thank him for his help and allowing us to bring him here. And if he needs anything in return, she'll do her best to make it happen, but she can't really make promises for anybody but herself.
And Veronica will make it a protocol, like make him following her own protocol, putting Potato Sack back on his head, so he doesn't see how we got here, and he doesn't see. It's more of a precaution thing.
Alright. You take him out, Potato Sack on head. Back to the other sept. And that goes relatively with no issue.
Relatively with no issue.
The guy's not really trying to avoid it. I mean, at this point, he's cooperating.
Yeah.
Alright, so you guys are back on sept. Get him all unloaded.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Taking him straight to the bosses right
Yep.
away? Okay. Who are you heading for? Right for the alpha, or are you going to start with somebody else? Or
I think
How about the Truth Catcher?
the Truth Catcher might be the best bet.
Yeah.
alright. She's fairly easy to find.
Forget what the Truth Catcher's name is.
I was about to ask the same thing.
Her Hamid name is Scarlet. Her deed name is Judges the Kings.
Okay. What tribe was she?
She is a
Black
Black
Fury.
Fury.
Oh, the Black Fury. She was the one that came from the frozen forest, right? That name seems familiar. Didn't she come with them from the frozen forest? I know Fury came with them.
Yeah, she's from Frozen Forest.
Yeah. When they initially came to the Sept, wasn't she one of them?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay. Uh, Here, what kind of is she occupied? Is she just chilling?
Yeah, I mean, she's not doing anything of any real note.
Okay, well, Air's gonna kind of wait for her to address them, being as she's the elder. Excuse me.
And as you guys get there, she does kind of turn and give you a nod and ask what she can do for you.
Air kind of. I'm assuming Veronica has the potato sack.
Yeah, she has him in the potato sack still.
She'll motion to Veronica and the dude and the Shadow Lord with the potato sack over his head. We found this during our scouting mission at the Frozen Forest.
She just kind of looks and says, and?
Pulls off the potato sack. She looks up Veronica. It's like, Bosco, if you can.
This individual is a captain from the other set. The rest of his is dead. We have spent a little while now interrogating him, getting truthful answers. I verified that they are in fact truthful. And we're trying to decide what to do with him now. He claims that he was not aware of the various crimes that his sept has committed. Not aware of the kinfolk being sold into slavery or Garou being killed, or no, he was aware of the Garou being killed. Ixnay that part. But we are not yet sure whether he should be put to death or given a chance to repent, as it were.
Mention what he said about your Silver Fang from the other sept that he didn't know about, and what you were told, Bosco.
In addition, he claimed that his sept was driving out and using those of the low pure breed to as frontline soldiers, cannon fodder essentially. However, there was another Silver Fang who we met on our way to that set who had left because Falcon had told him to. Said Silver Fang was about as purebred as I am.
Veronica waits till Bosco's done talking.
That's pretty much all he's got. Unless there's anything I forgot, which is entirely possible.
In addition to that, he was going over something that has me concerned with something else that you mentioned and various others. That they've been wanting to recruit new Garou, and they have not been seeing them. And we have not been seeing new Garou either.
She kind of nods and says, well, we get some, but not many.
I believe there's some information that he has that would be useful. If asked the right questions. He so far has been cooperative.
She says, well, sounds like you guys have interrogated him some already.
We have.
Looks like the stories they are giving now are different than certain stories they're telling now is different than then.
She just kind of shrugs and says, well, that's the way propaganda tends to go.
Yeah.
The truth tends to lie somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Where details have just been left out or not known and assumptions made. When the truth is subjective, these things can happen. So what is it you are hoping for from me?
I don't make the rules of the sept, and you are a truth catcher. We believe it might be beneficial not to execute him because he has details and it's been shown that he's been misled. That is not my prerogative. And I'm not sure how your sept would wish to address this because this concerns all of us.
So we feel he's valuable enough to be kept around, or we want to make sure we have a proper procedure? Is that our concern?
Yes.
Like, out of game, Veronica's not going to say to fully trust this guy, but she's not saying, like, he should kick the bucket.
She says, well, then I suppose if he's useful, we have to keep him here somewhere. Probably get more information out of him somehow. She looks and says, well, we do have one other who could be helpful.
If you like, I can go find them if you tell me who it is.
She chuckles and she says, on second thought, given his attitude, and she actually pulls out a cell phone, sends a message, and says, she rubs her hands together and looks at him and she says, my dear foolish child of Grandfather Thunder, you're going to have the joy of being remanded into the wonderful custody of Miss Carolyn DeGraff. Burns the Shine. I think you'll like her. And not long after that, Carolyn DeGraff comes walking up. And she looks pretty much like she does there.
Out of game, that looks like a art piece I've seen.
It may be. It's a stock photo I found, so. She looks and says, "This here must be the stuck-up bastard you were telling me about." Then she looks at Bosco and she says, "He looks like he could be a little stuck up too, but this one here, he looks like he's ready to blow a gasket. So I'm guessing you already told him I was coming."
What tribe is she? Out of game.
She looks and she goes, "Oh, right. Sorry about that. There's busy thinking about this poor bastard. Now he has no idea what he's in for." She goes, "Killing DeGraff and Burns the Shine. I'm a full moon of the children of Rat."
Braga looks at the Shadow Lord.
He's just kind of not sure what to think, it seems like. Then he says, looks at you and he says, You're not serious, are you? This is the one.
As a heart attack.
This is the one you think is beneficial?" We're just talking about being worthy and best warriors, and this is where we're at.
No. Oh no.
He looks at the truth catcher and he says, "You're going to put me into custody, and you decide this is your appropriate custody." And he's just as he finishes that, the last words, Caroline tosses a flash bomb in his face, like a Black Cat fireworks type. And she says, "Would you just shut up already?"
He obviously forgot the conversation about the litany we had earlier.
Yep. believe he's gonna get that lesson.
Need to go over it again.
He just kind of looks and she says, "Oh, he probably can't hear you right now. That's I got directional poppers in those. So, little thing Vano figured out. Blows out the eardrums for
Yeah, of course he
about a
did.
minute, leaves it ringing, but
Well, all right. Well, if you haven't gathered, he obviously doesn't understand the litany well. Seems he needs to be constantly reminded.
doesn't understand some common
You know,
fucking
the whole-
sense, that's for sure.
Yeah. That whole Aller of Gaia thing may need to be beaten into him.
There's some that don't figure it out right away, but
He's just learning he's doomed too.
there's a learning curve to that too. I'm sure this was not in his level of expectations.
I don't believe this was anyone's expectations.
Likely not.
I think he was expected that he probably would have been killed in a battle.
Probably. That's usually what they expect, but
When I had Bosco help interrogate, there were certain things that he realized he had no idea about, because propaganda always changes based on what the situation is. I think certain inside. Veronica looks at the Shadow Lord and waits till he can hear again. See what he.
he's starting to rub his ears.
Here's just kind of watching him.
And he looks up and he says, "Do I dare ask what I missed there?"
Not a whole lot. Air smirks.
I'm back. What is that?
The dude got his eardrums popped briefly with a
Yikes.
other than that, not a whole lot. He's been turned over to this bone gnar. He's not thrilled with that.
Air kind of looks at him. I hope you can learn to behave yourself.
He looks and says, Well, I'm sure I'm gonna have to figure something out. Yeah. Looks at Caroline and says, I'm sure you've got something unpleasant in mind, but then made apparent that it's going to occur. It's just a matter of whether I can hear when it does. So I suppose whatever this process is going to be, you might as well show me
Whether
which.
you can or whether you choose to.
You only half came through there, Holly.
She said whether you can hear or whether you choose to. It's up to you, I suppose.
He kind of looks and says, well, I suppose you might as well show me to the refrigerator box I'm going to live in for a while.
See, it didn't learn shit.
So, what to now?
Caroline says, well, you heard him. I gotta show him show him to his box. Well, I suppose we wouldn't want him to run away. Maybe I should look into getting a kennel.
Eric kind of she internally chuckles, but she kind of glances to see what his reaction is to
He
a kennel.
he doesn't react. He kind of just looks like, the hell did she just say?
I mean, you didn't sound too satisfied with the box, so she's willing to make other accommodations for you.
Yeah, just kind of stands up and says, of course we should be off. They should have already missed the dinner bell. So I might as well at least get some sleep if I'm not going to have a meal.
I hear that the bone gnawers are great cooks. I bet they can whip you up something real good.
Yeah, just looks and says, we'll keep that in mind. Scarlet looks at the rest of you and says, well, I don't really need the details. I'm going to assume that you had a Philodex assist, you got accurate information, you've remanded him into our custody, and that you had good intentions and used appropriate methods.
Impact link. Veronica's like,
Yep.
She says, "Is there anything else specific you guys need to bring up here?"
Veronica looks at Bosco and Air if they want to bring up anything.
I don't think so.
Bosco shakes his head.
Or she looks and says, "All right, well, you kept it easy for me. Minimal paperwork, so to speak. I'll admit this is one of the rare times where I'm not telling a Silver Fang how they screwed up. It's a refreshing change." And then if there's nothing else you guys want to do, we can wrap it there.
Bosco's gonna ask to speak to Air and Veronica, like a bit more privately.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a problem. Scarlet heads off to take care of things.
So, Bosco look at the pair of you. I understand that it was a safe way to get answers. I understand it was a good way to validate said answers. But we have all crossed the line here tonight. We have gone to a vampire for help. We've gone to a leech. This does not sit well with him.
I figured it wouldn't, which is why I made sure you knew what you were getting into prior to agreeing to it.
No. And I appreciate the forewarning. But I do not think I can take that step again.
That's fair.
We'll probably come up with another method next time. However, this was unexpected to get a captive. And I'm not doing what some of the other members of the SEP would do and kill him on sight.
And, Bosco just looks pensive for a minute, like he's trying to think. Um, I think, for now at least, I will have to take my leave on the catch. I can't. I cannot justify it to myself. Enough. And I do not want this self-doubt and this willingness to bend, if not to break the litany, to slow down the rest of me.
Out of game, what did you mention? Because I had a hard time hearing you.
Oh, sorry.
I did too.
He basically said he can't, like, he has a lot of self-doubt as a result of of tonight's actions. And he's disappointed in himself for bending, if not breaking, the litany. So he is going to bounce from the pack possibly come back later, but he doesn't want to slow the rest of you down by doubting himself.
So he's wants a break temporarily. It's not a permanent leave.
Not necessarily, right? He's got to think on it, is the thing.
Right. You do what you must do.
I appreciate the understanding.
All right. Anything else?
Probably not at the moment.
I imagine I'm
No.
going to get some blue books after this one, but. All right. Well, then we will call that a wrap. This has been another Nightfall in Amsterdam, a werewolf scene. Thank you, players, for playing, and watchers for watching.